streaming to YouTube. And we're ready when you are, Chair Griswold.
I call this September 3rd, 2024 meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please silence your cell phones? Next on the agenda is citizens' comments.
Oh, hang on, roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, we skipped right over that. Roll call, clerk, please.
Okay, roll call for tonight's meeting. Holman?
Here.
Charbonneau?
Here.
Verhey?
Here.
Hornseth is excused. Sullivan?
Here.
Hubbard?
Here.
And Chair Griswold.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments on any subject except those items scheduled for a public hearing. Has anyone signed in to speak?
Nobody is signed in.
Would anyone in the audience wish to speak on any subject that is not a public hearing item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda and consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additions or subtractions? Call for the vote.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda. Charbonneau?
Yes.
Holman?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Verhey?
Yes.
And Chair Griswold.
Yes.
Okay, your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda was the approval of the August 6, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is special orders, presentations, and reports. We have no proclamations or awards. City Administration, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Chair Griswold. A few things today. First, the city's 30-day draft period of the updated hazard mitigation plan closed on September 1st, and so the borough is currently integrating all the public input and finalizing the next draft. So the next step in that process will be for the borough to get feedback from the state and FEMA, and then we are tentatively scheduling the updated plan to come back up before the commission at your October 8th meeting for an approval recommendation before it being sent to City Council for final approval. Next, you all should have received an email with the comprehensive plan public engagement surveys in the format that will be distributed to the public. And so there are a few glitches when we sent it out this weekend, but hopefully those are cleared up, so let us know if not. That's the whole point of why we do them like that. But for the commission, please provide any feedback to our office by Monday, September 9th. And then for the public, we hope to have those surveys available to the public starting in October. And next, there will be a Kenai Peninsula Borough Comprehensive Safety Action Plan follow-up meeting with the Seward community. So that's next Tuesday, September 10th, in the upstairs meeting room of the library from 5 to 7 p.m. So this is in regards to the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that had previously come and spoken to the commission and had a safety workshop with the community at the library a couple months ago. And so the point of this follow-up meeting is to share the results of their public engagement surveys and the meetings that they had, and an opportunity will be provided to solicit more feedback from the community. And next, kind of a fun one, the Seward Mural Society celebrating 25 years of painting murals in Seward, and so they are planning a special new mural design this year around the Iditarod Trail with Alaskan artist and musher John Van Zyl. And so the new mural will replace the aging wooden wildflower garden in Kawabe Park and will be painted September 21st and 22nd over at the old Ace Hardware store. And space is limited to help paint the mural, and so sign-up information can be found on the Seward Mural Society's Facebook page, or if you don't have Facebook, they're using Sign Up Genius, so you can just go to that website and search Seward Muralist and sign up directly on that site. And then the last thing, I wanted to respond to Commissioner Hubbard last meeting mentioned an update on the training opportunities that we're kind of providing the commission in-house for you all. In September, we got a busy meeting today, and our work session is going to be pretty packed, I think, with our housing discussion at September. But I think October, we've got 2 potential training opportunities. We've reached out to the city attorney's office, because I know a few of you have mentioned getting a little bit more information about quasi-judicial proceedings and how those are run, and top tips, do's and don'ts. And so they might, I think we want to work with them to possibly have a discussion item at an upcoming meeting for that training. And then Courtney was able to find this through the American Planning Association. So this would be October 27th, and we'll send this information to you all, but it's a Sunday from 9 to 4. The Alaska chapter of the American Planning Association is hosting a 2-part virtual planning commissioner training. So the part 1 is just the morning, 9 to noon, part 2 in the afternoon from 1 to 4, and the training will be done in partnership with municipalities and tribes around Alaska. And we don't have any more details than that, but once we get those will be forthcoming. And so I think those will be 2 good opportunities in October for commissioner training. And that's what I got.
Thank you. Any questions for administration?
What was the date again on that?
The October 27th is a Sunday.
Is that something we weigh in on, or?
I'm sorry?
Do we have to go to a common place, or is it something we tap into through our?
It's a virtual training, yeah, so you can do it from home,
our
yeah.
office or
Yep.
whatever? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is other reports and announcements. There are none, and there also are no presentations. So that brings us up to public hearings. The first public hearing, would you like to read that title into the record?
Resolution 2024-017 of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Seward, Alaska, granting a conditional use permit to Grace Group Properties 1 LLC to construct a 42-room hotel on lots 12, 13, 14, and the north half of Lot 15, Block 15, original town site of Seward, located at 313 and 315 4th Avenue within a central business zoning district.
Thank you. I need a motion and a
I'll
second.
motion to approve Resolution 2024-017.
I'll second.
Thank you. And now we need administration to have comments.
Thank you, Chair Griswold. So if you'll turn to page 16 of the packet, I'll just touch on the conditions that are being proposed with this resolution. So in the central business district where this hotel is being proposed to be built, typically parking is not required, but rather the on-street parking is what is allowed to be used for uses that are allowed outright. However, with the conditional use permit, a hotel is not an outright allowed use, and so one of the conditions of this permit is to require parking. The proposed designs for the hotel do take up 100% lot coverage, which is also allowed in the central business district. So code in the parking requirements does say that parking can be provided off-site if there is an established parking agreement between the owner of the property and where the use is being proposed, which would be the hotel in this case, and then the owner of the area where the parking will be provided, and then the city. So that's the first requirement, is that a parking agreement would need to be established prior to receiving a building permit. And then the number of parking spaces required would be 42, since there's 1 parking space per room for hotels. And then since the proposed parking location is more than 600 feet away from the hotel, then a shuttle service must also be provided to transport individuals from the parking to the hotel. The animal-resistant dumpster, and then the 5th one would be that all exterior lighting shall be shielded and provide direct downward illumination. So those are the current conditions proposed with this resolution, and if there's any questions, you can
Any questions from the commission?
Chair, I have one question. With the 42 parking spaces that need to be provided, is there I didn't see a diagram for that. I mean, I see there's a location, but is there a place that there's, like when we had the Edgewater, there was one up there for their parking. Is there one for this that we can see where the parking is and how they're going to conform or get 42 parking spaces in there?
So the applicant has stated there are two options where they can provide the off-site parking. One would be at Spruce Lodge outside of town, and the other would be on Alaska Railroad property. Those are the two options right now. So we don't have a parking plan with this application currently because of the two options still being figured out, but the parking plan will need to be reviewed and approved before receiving that building permit, if the CUP is approved.
Okay, so that's, because I didn't know if that would be conditional of the CUP, if we had to see the parking layout before the CUP was approved. So what you're saying is we can approve this prior to seeing a parking plan?
Right. The building permit would be contingent on the parking plan, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions for administration?
Yes, I have a question. Staff, when did the SCC 15.10.215 that regulates the parking requirements, could you give me a little background on that, when that was approved?
Yeah, I don't have the history right now, so I'd have to do a little bit of research into the ordinances of when that was proposed, what year that was proposed. But that is information we could find out, I just don't have it right now, sorry.
And as a follow-up question, this might be way off the mark, but could the conditional use permit also potentially ask for less than that amount and it be brought before the P&Z rather than one parking spot per unit? Could you do a half a parking spot per unit? Could that ever be proposed or suggested?
Yeah, so the commission can determine any number of parking spaces that they wish to require for this, to meet this use. Primarily, as stated in the agenda statement, what the commission is basing their requirements on are six items. You know, if the use is consistent with the purpose of Title 15, and if the value of the adjoining property will not be significantly impaired, is the proposed use in harmony with the comprehensive plan? Are public services and facilities adequate to serve the proposed use? And the proposed use will not be harmful to public safety, health, or welfare. So the conditions that the commission requires would be focused on making sure that those items are met with this use. So if the commission felt that less parking still met these conditions, then that could be something the commission proposes.
Okay, so as a follow-up, Chair, I'm sure. So what? Could you come in and say, well, all those things are good to me, but the parking there's something about the parking number that I have an issue with.
Commissioner Hubbard, you might save that for the discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other clarifications? Let's move on and open the public hearing. Mr. Clerk, is anyone signed in to speak?
Nobody is signed in.
Would anyone in the audience wish to speak to this public hearing item at this time?
Is this the time that I speak, or do I get a chance? How does that work?
You are welcome to speak now.
Right, like, you want to ask me questions that I can answer? Is this the right
As
form to do that, or
Yeah.
we could call them
Would you
later?
please, come to the table and state your name and inside or outside city limits for the record?
Hi, John Weisel, Side City Limits, and here to speak on Grace Group Properties 1. Open to any questions you guys have.
Would you like to give a basic description of your project?
Yeah. So Grace Group Properties is a real estate development group, locally owned, operated. We have multiple properties in town and outside of town. We've owned this for quite some time, put a lot of effort into it. We're open year-round. We try and employ locals. We engage with the community. We put on our own events. Do stuff on July 4th for the kids. So we're trying to be a big part of the community. We also see this as a big part of our development with what we currently already have, which is Spruce Lodge. And we have plans for more buildings. But with that, being as we've been open with Spruce Lodge, we can kind of factor and have some experience now of what type of tourists and clientele we get, being as that it would be either tour groups come in on a bus, motor coach, have say 40 of them. So that's hence the size of the building. And then also we've been in touch with the railroad and the cruise ship docks, and everyone knows 2026, we're gonna have a lot more traffic, a lot more people. But we're also truly invested in downtown Seward. Feel like downtown Seward needs a facelift, needs more business. Would love to see a big, beautiful building like this instead of a derelict, older part of town. We've worked really hard at this, and we have had some stumbles. We opened into COVID during a worldwide travel ban. With that, we've had to change some of our approach and got humbled a little bit. But with that, there's been a silver lining, and people kind of like, we run a self-check-in, even though we're a very large place. It frees us up, frees our guests up. It's worked out really well. It was hard in the beginning, but now almost the whole world is coming around to it, and it gets easier and easier every year. With this, we have had talks with a lot of travel tour groups, a lot of, we are a faith-based company, and we have reached out and we talk with a lot of events and plans and trips. And again, we're looking not to just be open for 3 months. We want to be open year-round. We want to start changing what goes on downtown. And we currently have a shuttle. We have shuttle service, we have shuttle drivers. It's a great employment. We hire a local, we don't hire out of town for that. So it's great year-round employment. It's really busy. This will just be an amenity to that. And I think it has complements in our building and has room to expand to all sorts of things that we can engage with, whether it's events, spaces for the community to use, groups that we're already tied with, and maybe more. Yeah, I mean, like food options. We're not in the food business, but we could definitely see something like that. We go out to eat, and everybody knows in the summertime it could be an hour, you might not go. So I think just opening all that up, and then again knocking on the 2026 what's coming to town. Everyone knows how many more people. I think another thing that I am currently working on is it's not the reason why we did this, but I think it will help. And I don't know how much time I have, but we all talk about housing shortages, problems in Seward, right? Airbnbs being used instead of year-round housing. Well, there's 82 short-term permits in town this year. You want me to keep going, or I can talk about that later?
Would you like to suspend the rules and let him speak a few more minutes?
I'd be fine with
It's
that.
kind of a quick point.
Yes.
I don't have all the
Okay.
facts, but I am working on it, and there's a lot of data, SBDC. There's a good profit margin in the Airbnbs right now. the mix and the ratio of Airbnbs to hotel rooms is at a profit margin for the Airbnbs. I'm not saying that I want to put Airbnbs out of business, but I do want to think that more hotel rooms can be more competitive, and maybe that'll loosen up some of these. I'm not talking about locals that turn their homes into Airbnbs, but I'm talking about people that come from San Diego, buy a home here just to have one to run an Airbnb. I think if we have a more competitive advantage, it is turning around, there is some data to that. I think it's an angle that should be looked at, and there is lots of great data out there that can be outsourced through SBDC, through Kenai Peninsula Borough tax revenue, and pulling up all sort of certain criteria. So that is another benefit to having more hotel rooms. And when we all know the price of homes and how quickly they go here, I think it's another benefit to opening up another business. I think another thing is there hasn't really been a large business like this revitalized downtown since I've been here. Historic downtown anyways. So, and it's a beautiful building. It's like, don't get confused with the 3D concept idea, but if you're ever interested in our architectural features, come take a look at Spruce Lodge or look at Grace Group Properties. We build beautiful stuff and put a lot of time and effort into it. With all that said and done, yeah, I'm open to any questions.
Any questions from the commission at this time?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, we heard a little bit about the parking off-site, and it's not laid out yet. Do you have a rough idea of how that will work?
Yeah, so we have a couple different options. One, of course, we have Spruce Lodge. We have 15 acres. We have plenty of parking there. Another one, of course, is I've had extensive talks with the railroad, and there's land available use there. Other hotels have used that area in the past for parking. So we haven't drawn a diagram, but we didn't put forth this idea without knowing that it's attainable. I wouldn't say that we couldn't provide one, but I definitely think that it's more of a preliminary scope of where we're trying to get with the building and the permit.
So,
Go ahead.
so guests will have to come into town, check in, then drive back out of town, where a shuttle will meet them at an hourly basis, or will they call and then they ride back in? Is the shuttle gonna come at certain times, or a kiosk out there? Are they gonna stand in the ring out there?
Yeah, so that's where, I know it was kind of confusing, but I led into it a little bit. We have self-check-in. So we don't hand out keys. We don't have a receptionist. Everything comes to you on your phone. You have your room number, you have your door entry code. Either through your phone, email, both, messaging. It's totally contactless, and contactless came about with COVID, and it actually adapted really well, and we really liked it. Guests really liked it. It frees up us, and we can do more other stuff. We can actually entertain and communicate with the guests and do other things. Provide more service instead of just sitting there at a counter trying to count keys. And then as far as the service of driving, like we have a shuttle, or we have our shuttle out at our place now, and we have no problems with pick up, drop off, go anywhere, and we actually enjoy it. It's a great job, and everyone kind of enjoys the shuttle service. One, it's you get to connect with your guest, you know, getting to and from the cruise ship terminal, the railroad terminal. We see all the poor people dragging their bags. If only they knew or had a shuttle service, you know. Or just coming downtown, you can tell them how to get downtown, what to do, or you can show them. And it's so much easier, and then use one of the drop-offs. And then you show them where the free shuttle is. If they want to get around, But the main thing is you get that opportunity to connect with your guests, have that experience, and show them around. And we don't know how many more times our shuttle drivers get great compliments, great tips. It's a great job. It's highly sought after. It could easily be expanded. I think it could be a shuttle service, not even just for hours, but for more, because we already hear so many more things about taxis are having trouble, this and that and the other. Our shuttle service is phenomenal. I mean, like, and the compliments we get, and we have people with cars that use our shuttle service tremendous amount. I mean, like, they come here and it's a totally different experience, but it's because we have local drivers that know Seward, that like to connect with guests, and we hire great people, and they have tons of great reviews. So it's a great service. It's not just it's not a shuttle service going from Anchorage Airport to a parking lot. It's more of an experience. We're in Seward. There's a destination. There's a story, and it's a good job. It's a great job. So I don't see any problems with it, and we've had no issues of people not being able to get our shuttle, and we've had no issues providing it.
So this proposed hotel won't have a lobby with somebody in it. It'll be check-in through a phone, remote check-in.
So pretty much, we don't call it like a receptionist. We have people on site doing things, and so if we are all on the network, and if someone wants to speak to someone, there's someone else doing something else that is available. Like, we don't have someone sit at a counter at a computer the entire time. They might be cleaning, they might be showing somebody around, they might be making coffee, they might be in the cafe, they might be in the gift shop, but they can answer it right away. Yeah.
So somebody would park out there, call for a shuttle, and then come in and check into the room. Is that how you kind of see it going?
Yes.
Okay. And you also mentioned real quick that you said, I think it was like, don't let the architect's renderings confuse you about the way it looks. It's going to be like the spruce lodge. I'm kind of confused. Is the
No, I'm just
not
saying, like,
it?
we haven't gotten to our cosmetics on this building here. Like the siding, the windows, the colors,
I got it.
If you want to have an insight of like what we kind of build, you can kind of see what we do. Alaskana art, we have a lot of great touches that we do. I'm just saying, this building doesn't show anything on the sides of the building. I mean, like, I'm not just gonna have a flat wall.
Okay. I was confused because usually when they...
I would say this building looks really industrial, yeah.
I was confused by your statement because usually when things get put forward, they kind of come out like that. So when the architect rendering is put forward before us, usually the building is built like that. So
I would say
that
the
statement, it kind of confused me.
Yeah, sorry to confuse you, but yeah, no, I would say the building concept is right, but I would say siding and touches and finishes, are completely different, and we've had little to no application on this.
I think that's it for me.
Clerk Sullivan?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. What I have is, the question is, so I understand is, they come to the hotel, check in initially, and then they will know to take their vehicle to Spruce Lodge or to the rail facility or something like this. What would stop them from saying, well, I can park my car here and, I don't need to do this? And there's, a variety of things. My biggest concern is, you have on-the-street parking, you have the fire hall, you have a lot, it's very congested anyway. My concern is the additional vehicles that are there, plus people on 3rd Avenue and the rest, that, additional, I've lived here for a lot of years, so I see how crowded it is. So how are we going to preclude that? You see, because if it's no contact, you have no contact, no anything else like this, they come in, they get their room, and then they can drive around town, but what is the incentive to drive all the way out to Spruce Lodge or to the railroad or to your alternate, you have an alternate parking, additional parking on the side here. So I just want to be sure that that's somehow addressed, because we see how it is with Edgewater. They had that big lot there, nobody really parks there, but cars are parked through a lot of variety areas. So I want to be sure that we have some sort of control on that somehow. That's
Yeah,
addressed.
I would say it's more just like the information, and then the fact that the properties are connected. You know, we have complements, features, and we are looking to complement and combine our two properties. You know, we have an event space out there, we want to have people out there. We want to know that people are invited to go from here to there. And then as far as the information goes, I think it's pretty clear, as long as you give the people the information, they will use it, you know. And I just wanted to correct you, there is no, it's self-check-in. Self-check-in is, you hit a code on your phone.
Right, understand that, right.
So you don't have to walk in, sign anything.
No, and I totally get that.
Yeah, so we're not making that process of them coming into town, check in, and then go park your car. You know, that's not it. You're checked in on your phone. You're checked in on your email. And it's been really streamlined. It's been pretty awesome.
Okay, thank you.
One more question. Sorry. Is there enough room out of Spruce Lodge for 42 more cars?
Yeah, we have 42 acres. Or, sorry, 15 acres. Wish we had 42. No, we have 15 acres, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good now.
I'm curious how many seats are available in the 2 event rooms? What's the capacity for those?
You know, that's really a fire marshal thing, and I know there's a code for it. I would say, in my experience, just rough guess looking at that room, his head count and the egresses, again, this is just off the cuff, I would think it's around 50 to 80 people probably.
For both event rooms?
For each event room, I would think. But again, there's definitely a building code for that, you know, size of room, amount of space, egresses, and then he'll list it, you know, he'll let you know. But yeah, I think it's a great feature, and it's been the right size, and it's again, we've had groups out at our other event space. You know, Bloom, we use that. Bloom comes out, and I don't know if everybody knows about Bloom, but anyways, the ones that do, they come out, use our event space. It's a great way to connect. We've had a couple others. And so I think it's the right size room. Yeah, I think it would be around 50 or 80 people. Yeah.
And I counted, I don't know if it's accurate, but I counted 32 seats in the cafe. So does that sound about right to you? I counted all the little chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 8.
Yeah,
32 seats.
I would say that could be right, you know.
And would you expect these people to use your remote parking?
The cafe?
Cafe on the event spaces?
No. I mean, like the cafe, I would think, I would think that just people be walking up and down town, you know, just like any other outright business, you know, if they want to stop in and sit. But yeah, that's our thought there. Yeah.
And the events?
Events, I mean, like, I guess if we're putting on a true event and they want to book the room, yeah, we'll definitely use the same services for that.
But are the events open to people who aren't booking a room?
You know, we've never had a requirement that they book a room. And our event spaces are more an amenity, a complement. How can we help the community, provide a space? But yeah, we always offer our same services. You know, we just ran a group up to Anchorage from church. So, you know, we try and go above and beyond for our groups and make the event spaces. So yeah, we would extend the same courtesy there, no problem.
I noticed on the site plan that the dumpster's on the neighbor's property. Could you explain where the dumpster will go?
So we've had talks with First National Bank, and they have that little, I don't know if anybody banks there, but they have that little piece that they don't use. So we're inquiring about using that. They'll never sell it to us, but they'll definitely lease it. We've offered that. I think it'd be a great compliment to us. But if that was a hurdle that we couldn't overcome, we'll design different space for it. But yeah.
So you don't have an agreement in place yet?
No, I don't have a permit,
Okay.
so, yeah,
Okay. In negotiations?
yeah.
And if you don't get it, do you know where you end up putting the dumpsters?
I mean, we'll definitely design the building around to make sure that we are able to do it and work with Alaska Waste, so, yeah, yeah.
And what about a drop-off zone? For example, if a bus brings in your 40 guests, where would you expect to drop them off?
Yeah, so we have our shuttle bus loading zone right there on the back
Would
there.
that fit a bus?
I'm like, it'd fit a shuttle, so, yeah, I
Okay.
would say so.
I was envisioning
Yeah.
like a Greyhound bus or something, but,
Oh, like a motor coach?
right, it wouldn't fit a
Yeah,
motor.
we don't have any connections with that size, you
Okay.
know? We do have ones that inquire, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have any connections with those. Ours have been more primarily of the 20-person.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that if it was a thing, I don't know how we would exactly handle that, but, you know, I think currently our business plan is around what our connections are, and I don't think that offloading a motor coach would be that big of a deal if it was in the alleyway to get the people off for a drop-off, you know what I mean? No different than how they do drop-offs for any other services or goods.
And same thing with deliveries? It'd be from the alley?
Yeah, same alleys. I mean, like, hopefully, I mean, thankfully we have alley access because I know a lot of businesses are blocking off main streets, so we at least have alley access, so it's not a hindrance on the main road or the fire road. So, yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Okay.
John, how many units do you have out there at Spruce Lodge?
So we're about to have 52 units.
So, I noticed on your plan here that there could be an opportunity for underground parking if you were, or on-site parking if you were able to dig down because you have like a 5-foot elevation decrease. Did that cross your mind, or did you think about that at all?
You know, we've thought about that. We've thought about, we've had this for 4 years, maybe 5, 6, I don't know. It's been a long time. COVID throws us off, 2018 and 18. But, yeah, we've thought a lot of different ways. But we've also, since then, opened our business, got business ties, and realized where our strengths are and what we're doing. I think that we have the best plan here. I'm like, I could dream up of going up to, you know, with a parking garage style on the alley, but I don't think aesthetically or necessary. I don't think that it's the issue at hand for the parking as far as going up, going down. You know, I think at that point in time, somebody just as soon buys a lot and has a vacant lot, you know, and says, here's my lot, go park over there, you know, and now we just have another vacant lot in downtown Seward. So I think with us giving our information, making it part of our properties, making it inviting and something more than just a shuttle, an experience, I think that's gonna be the best answer. Otherwise, I'm just not in for promoting just empty vacant parking lots like downtown and not utilizing and expanding downtown. I wanna expand downtown, create more business, and get rid of some derelict buildings.
Right. So it has been considered maybe some underground parking, that is a possibility?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I mean, like, I've worked on those projects, I've worked on them where they go down, I've worked on them where they go up. But yeah, I would say going up is more feasible.
I came across a statistic that the average parking spot is 9 by 18, you probably already know this, but they need an average, like, turning radius of 350 square feet per car. And just from my novice perspective, you could almost get 20 parking lots or spots in there.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't think, I don't think anyone uses them. I think when they do use them, there's a lot of issues with them. There's damage, there's crime, there's other people using them. A lot of things out of your control. I don't think it's something that I envision for our business concept here. I don't think that we want to do a parking garage. I just don't think that it's part of the concept of what we want to do.
Just one other design thought, on the shuttle bus loading area, you have access just from the alley side. Have you thought about just pillaring that corner and having the the north side open also?
Yeah, I mean, like we have.
That way you could do a drive-through?
Right, yeah. No, I know exactly kind of what you're thinking there. I think it'd be a great feature. I think that's more of an architect and an egress thing talking about. And then I also know that, I haven't really talked to the fire marshal, but I know they like that road going straight out. So I don't think that'd be an issue.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think architecturally and cosmetically, if that could be a cool feature, you know? I think for right now, what we're trying to do is put our best foot forward, get this plan, and if something like that really came into feng shui with the building, I think it could be, but right now, I think that is the best control, what we have in the back there.
Control, what do you mean by that?
So we have areas at Spruce Lodge that we have found that it's best used for our staff, our property, our buildings, and that we have to deter others from using that. So it depends on your design. So if you have something like that designed, you might just have everyone pulling in there, you know, and not utilizing what we were talking about before, utilizing our shuttle. More of a pickup drop-off point, or Uber's probably gonna show up here one day or something like that. And, you know, I think it'd just be more of a traffic pull-in, but, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
No
I
problem.
think
You have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Commissioner Ullman?
yeah, what are your main concerns regarding congestion?
I mean, like, I think for us, I think it's more or less, the same time that it is for everyone else, one weekend a year or 2 weekends a year that downtown gets absolutely flooded. So I think our main concern is, having adequate staff and utilizing our spaces. And like I said, we have taken in other options, and maybe there's an expansion into working with other hotels, because, again, we have other businesses and whatnot using parking. So maybe we're a trendsetter, maybe it alleviates some of this, of what else has been going on, you know, by doing this. I know that we've talked about parking downtown for a long time, and it never really changes. But I think that we put in a plan that could, not only us use it, maybe some of the other bigger real estate development companies use it, and then that frees up them, and then maybe P&Z comes up and decides, hey, maybe this works so well in decongested downtown, And now we got a beautiful building on an empty lot that's been empty for 20 years, you know, and develops downtown. So I think that we could be a trendsetter. I think that this could pick up, kind of like our self-check-in stuff did. Other people are starting to use it. It's not mainly because of us, but I think this could be part of it. And I think it could decongest downtown. Promoting parking somewhere else, let us take care of you, show you around. Not just a shuttle service to your car, you know, show you around Seward, show you the businesses to go to, show you how to get it. Make sure to know that we'll get you to your whale tour, we'll get you to your glacier tour, we'll get you to your dog sled, we'll get you, you know. So yeah, I think it'll catch on and decongest downtown, and then like I said, stop using vital spaces downtown for vacant Fairland parking that's not used.
Okay.
It's an outside idea, like I know no one has done it, but you know, that's our idea towards it.
I'm concerned, thank you,
Yeah.
about, because it's not going to be required to park off-site. You can still choose where to park. And there are so I'm concerned about more people parking, you know, with 100% lot coverage, you know, that just spills to the street. I'm thinking of the fire hall. When you mentioned Church Street, that one-way shot, that's got to be open. I don't know. No, like I'm just thinking of concerns and how to address those, you know, like we don't know till it happens, I guess, but I think there's going to be a lot more action there.
Yeah, I would say that we're definitely putting our best foot forward on trying to take care of that and meet those concerns. And like I said, out there at Spruce Lodge, we have days to where people don't even think that we have people staying at the building. They come up and ask for a room, and we're like, we're sold out. They're like, you have no cars. It's like, well, we have shuttle service. We're 100% occupied. It's Seward. So shuttle service and people not having cars here, people do enjoy that. And then the ones that even have cars have some of the best reviews saying that Chris or Kristen showed them the best tour around town and the places to go because they're locals. So I think that it will outweigh the congestion part if you just looked at it as an experience of what we've actually done versus what you're projecting what could happen and being like others. And I think that this is starting a conversation towards, you know, maybe Seward's long-term goal, parking overall downtown. But I think we're definitely taking an approach to handle that. And yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to wrap it up.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this public hearing item?
Just have one question.
Could you come up to the chair, please? And state your name and inside or outside city limits?
Joanne Fry, and I live a block from the proposed hotel. My main concern is I understand what you're saying about guests and that should take care of that, hopefully. What about employees? How many employees on a ship and where are they going to be parking? Are they going to be taking the Methodist Church parking and the bank parking and heavens to Betsy, what Res Art? I can't park at my own house until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon because of the congestion, and they park down Church Street and they park all on 4th Avenue. So employee parking would be another big question for me. So congestion.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I could promise that we would have our employees not park in front of your home or downtown, that they would be required to use all the same things that we're trying to implement and be conscious of. So.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this public hearing item? Going once, going twice. The public hearing is closed. What are the wishes of the commission?
Well,
Commissioner Charbonneau.
I have comments.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful spot for a hotel. It's downtown. It brings people right into all the businesses. But I'm extremely concerned about the parking. I mean, we already know that off-site parking doesn't work. We've seen that for years and years and years. We have the extreme congestion on one street over with residents unable to park in their homes. It's hard to drive down the road sometimes. This area with the church, the bank, the other businesses across the alley, and the fire hall on the other side just increases that whole parking problem right there. And I know that there's a shuttle going out of town, but I mean, if I stayed at that hotel, there's no way I would take the shuttle. If I was able to just check in, I'd park on the street and go in there. And I bet dollars to donuts, 95% of the people that stay there will not take the shuttle. Because why would I? I just park in front of my hotel room, just like everybody else does. Because there's no parking supplied at the hotel. I'm not riding a shuttle in. And like I said, that's going to be the issue. This whole street's going to be congested and filled with cars. And the fire hall, I mean, they are blocked off with yellow in front of them, but I see it being an issue there with backing in all of those trucks and coming in and out of there. So that's my comment.
Well, let's go through our findings. So that finding, we need to base our decision on findings in this quasi-judicial hearing. So if we go through,
What page are you on?
well, you know, it repeats itself a couple times in here. So let's find what page the final,
Use permit to you?
yeah, it just goes on, this packet's huge.
Chair Griswold, it
Uh-huh.
would be on page 14.
14 on.
But then it repeats towards the end as well. I thought. But if you like, we can start on page 14. That would be fine. So,
At the bottom of page 14.
right. So where it says, now therefore be it resolved by the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Seward, Alaska, that, section 1. The use is consistent with this chapter of the Seward zoning code and the purposes of the zoning district. So I did have some comments. Let me see if I can. I'd just like to fit our comments into our findings as we did before. I think that's really helpful. So for consistency with the chapter, the Seward zoning code and purposes, if I may read some comments about that for this finding. A hotel is a large business with many transient guests who want to park by their rooms, served by many employees who also need parking spaces, preferably close to work, and serviced by daily delivery and passenger vehicles that need an off-street loading, unloading zone. The reasons a hotel are not allowed outright in the CB district include concerns about the negative impacts of so many additional vehicles on the already limited parking in the central business zone, especially near the hotels, increased traffic congestion for pedestrians and vehicles, challenges for delivery vehicles, passenger buses, fuel delivery trucks, and emergency responders where no drop-off zones are provided on site, causing blockage of the alley or street access for other businesses and users. Limited or no on-site space for dumpsters, equipment and storage that may cause illegal use of the alleys, right-of-way, and adjacent properties, and loss or lack of landscaping on a large property where 100% of lot coverage occurs. This use is not compatible with the purposes of Title 15 to promote public health, safety, and general welfare, to provide for orderly development of the community, promote public safety and public order, and protect the public health and general welfare of the citizens of the community. So that's the A part. At this time, would the commission like to discuss that and see if you want to include that in our findings under A, section 1A?
Chair Griswold, I think you do bring out some additional stuff as far as, you know, identifying what is compatible with land use tables and the rest. I wouldn't mind having some of that language put into there.
Okay.
I'll be fine with that as well.
Okay. Agree with consensus? Okay.
Yeah.
If I may go on to B. The next one is the value of adjoining property will not be significantly impaired. I would say this is partially met. The northern portion of the property on which the hotel will be built is vacant, and the southern portion of the property has an abandoned, dilapidated building. Removal or repair of this building will improve the image of the property and street. A new structure on this property could potentially bring more individuals to the downtown area that would patronize the surrounding businesses. However, a 3-story hotel will negatively impact the residential home across the alley with loss of view and privacy, increased noise, activity, lights, and traffic. The adjacent homeowners and 2 other property owners submitted letters expressing concerns about additional traffic congestion and safety risks. So I would like to enter that into our findings.
Yeah, that's good.
Consensus? Okay.
So Chair Griswold, one
yes.
quick question though. When we add these additional findings, as these are basically things that we're going to be using as a decision-making process to, when we go to it, so you're covering both?
Right, and these consensus items would also be part of the final document
Okay.
upon which our conditions are based.
Right, because...
So just to get it into the record.
Right, because planning department, or the community development department provided what's consistent with that's written in code at this point, and then you're providing additional findings that are pertinent just to this specific item.
Right, and going through each of the conditional use
Okay, just confirming what you're doing.
permit requirements, we have to address each of these.
So when you start with however,
Right.
this isn't in our packet.
No,
No.
these are my comments
She's
that I'm
recommending those.
I'm seeking consensus.
Okay, it would have been nice to have a laydown on that.
I do have a laydown, but unfortunately, I am editing on the fly based on public testimony. So some of what I had, I no longer want as part of the record. But so
Okay,
I'm
just
I'm
afraid
screening you from comments that I don't now think are
Might have to ask you to
timely.
review again, though. It's
Uh-huh.
back to my head. But keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
C, the proposed use is in harmony with the Seward Comprehensive Plan. And the commission found 3, and this is in the packet, they found three statements in the comprehensive plan that supports this. But I would like to suggest this legislation is not consistent with Volume 1, Chapter 1.3, preserve and enhance the town's best features. However, that was based on the plan that was provided, and the applicant agreed it looked pretty industrial, and that's what I was basing this comment on. I'm excited about a much improved structure. So perhaps that is, I would like to keep that in there in case we get what we get, but
I can promise you won't, and
Okay,
we
but-
would work with,
sir, you can't,
city.
we
Oh,
can't have a
sorry.
dialogue anymore. But I do appreciate what the applicant said in his comments. Normally, what the site plan says is what we get. So in this case, it's more of a concept. It'll be a 100% coverage building, 3 stories with stacks and the stairway, elevator, things on the top. But hopefully, you know, you could have inspiration from, for example, the historic building across the street or the Van Gilder. There's some very nice traditional architectural details that could make this building beautiful. So, let's keep it in there, because I would like it to preserve and enhance the town's best features. The other statement in the comp plan is we value the small town feel and friendly atmosphere, a dynamic historic downtown, pedestrian-friendly downtown, pride in our historic downtown district and historic surrounding areas. And I believe, I believe a 42-room hotel with event spaces for 50 to 100 people each in a 32-seat cafe and employee parking. I think that's going to be a tremendous impact on a very congested area. So that's why I felt we would lose that small town feel and friendly atmosphere. What does the commission think? Do you think
You're right.
they can?
You know, I'm not sure totally, because, you know, you've seen the Van Gilder Hotel, that's big, you know. You know, and even just some of these other ones, they look big. If they can look that, you know, similar to that, because we don't see what the design is, what he's going to put on the outside, he might be able to maintain it. Granted, it'll be big, but they've had downtown before years ago, down where the old Solly's building and everything else, they had that huge 5-story thing at one point in time, and that was historic and old. So, you know, if you keep the consistency of the old, maybe it's stucco or whatever the building, you know, material is, then they can keep that feel. If you know what I'm saying. If you remember that old building that was 5 stories?
The arcade?
Yeah, the arcade building. So it's never, they've had something that big before.
But pedestrian friendly, can we
Not
maintain a
necessarily.
pedestrian friendly downtown with what I anticipate will be a lot of congestion?
It would be congested,
On
yes,
this
I would
site.
concur. I would totally concur with that. I was just looking at the aesthetics of the building.
Right,
Yeah.
and we have a pledge that it will be beautiful. But that's great, but the small town feel and friendly atmosphere, pedestrian friendly downtown, I think we're going to have impacts on that in this location. It's a great idea, but the location is very problematic. The next one I felt was appropriate was manage land use to facilitate economic development while maintaining the historic small-town character of Seward. Do you feel that that's pertinent? Can a 42-room hotel in this location help maintain our small-town character?
Trying to get some perspective here.
No,
What's
and yes.
this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, logically, it feels like no, but yes, downtown already does have hotels, and we have a beautiful downtown that is quite walkable.
Okay, I'll strike that
But
because we have
Yeah.
mixed.
What is the Edgewater? How much do they have?
Yeah,
Do we know? Do we
Sorry?
know The Edgewater, how many rooms?
I don't know. I tried to find that out and I couldn't find it.
I'm not aware how many rooms they have either.
Their website didn't say. And the last one was community appearance. Continue to require landscaping plans for conditional use permits as feasible. And I'm going to link this one to a conditional use that would require hanging baskets, you know, as the season requires, because it is 100% lot coverage. But still, if you required some landscaping, even if it's hanging in baskets, that would be according to our comp plan.
Some amount of green space or something.
What's that?
Implemented green space.
It's difficult when it's 100% lot coverage, but still, something beautiful could be done with that. So that's just a nice touch.
I think the implemented green space like that would probably be best to be put on a separate category that blankets, maybe instead of by a one-by-one basis.
How do you mean?
Like add it to part of code where it has to maintain a certain amount instead of adding it one by one.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, since we don't have that yet, all we can ask is landscaping in a bucket, in a basket.
Planters.
Right, planters could be incorporated. The next finding is public services and facilities are adequate to the proposed use. I find this condition is also partially met. And in the packet it says the property already has access to city water, sewer, and electricity. The property has direct access to Church Street, which is a one-way street going west, and 4th Avenue. The property is also served by the alley on the west side. And here's a finding I would like to add. However, the commission finds that this is already a very congested location with many pedestrians walking between Resart across Church Street and downtown. No parking is allowed on Church Street or along the fire department property on the other side of 4th Avenue. 4th Avenue is closed during the 4th of July holiday. The alley is very narrow, and if blocked by delivery services or shuttle bus, it will impede access for other properties. A 42-unit hotel with no on-site parking for guests or employees, no on-site delivery access, no on-site dumpster, and no on-site snow storage will cause unacceptable congestion and hazards in an already busy area of downtown. Would you like to keep that finding?
I would, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wintertime in particular is tough.
Chair Griswold,
Yes.
can you please clarify for the clerk here, you know, when I'm reading this from the packet, it says this condition has been met, but then you're adding a however, so
I change it to this condition has been partially
been
met.
partially met. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Has that,
Go ahead.
just to review, so from A through D, have you inserted partially on all these? I think
Let me see what I did.
Just a little.
Right. So on,
I know A was a partial, right? And
A, it just goes on. I didn't find a statement which said in A that this finding has been met, this condition has been met, but there is no partial there. B.
So it has been met. That's what we don't have an alteration on A.
Yeah, that was a hotel is a large business with many transient guests.
Okay.
That description. It's not compatible to promote public health, safety, and general welfare. So the B finding, that was a partially met. C is partially met.
Chair Griswold, real quick,
Yes.
just information to add. Edgewater has 76 rooms.
Good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a whiz, I could not find it. Thank you. So then we move on to the next finding, E. The proposed use will not be harmful to public safety, health, or welfare. And I would say this is a partial as well. So administration found that all construction will abide by the International Fire Code and International Building Code, including an approved sprinkler system. ADA requires that 60% of the public entrances on a building be accessible. However, the main entrance on the east side is not. It is recommended that this entrance should also be ADA compliant. And then as far as public health and safety, I have more findings. Based on another hotel, CUP downtown, guests do not use even a convenient off-site parking lot within 600 feet. Hotel guests want to park right by the hotel. The applicant suggested an off-site parking lot out of town on property they own, but this and other off-site parking more than a block away is not practical or feasible. The additional vehicles of guests not willing to use a remote parking lot, of staff, of delivery and service vehicles, and the alley shuttle valet service will impair the value of the adjacent properties and will create congestion and parking issues along 4th Avenue, Church Street, and the alley. Backing out of the shuttle bus loading site into the narrow alley may be challenging year-round and more so in the winter. Church Street is a one-way going west, which will will create congestion at a busy intersection for pedestrians and traffic at 3rd. Ingress egress to the alley via Adams Street to the south is also challenging and a congested area for pedestrians and vehicles, as are the intersections at Adams 3rd and Adams and 4th. The indicated location on the site plan of the one dumpster on the neighboring property to the south is a negative impact that is not allowed. And I'd like to keep that in here because there is no agreement yet with bank. What are the, do you agree with those findings?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Okay. Additional finding for this is that the event room, the 2 event rooms will have 50 to 100 people each, and the cafe seats 32. And where are those people going to park? F is any and all specific conditions deemed necessary by the commission to fulfill the above-mentioned conditions shall be met by the applicant. These may include but are not limited to measures relative to access, screening, site development, building design, operation of the use, and other similar aspects related to the proposed use. Based on the above findings and conclusions, approval of the CUP shall be subject to the following conditions. Condition 1. Prior to receiving a building permit, the owner of the hotel must provide a recorded parking agreement signed by the owner of the hotel, the owner of the off-site parking lot, and the city, which guarantees that the required off-site parking spaces for the hotel, plus the required spaces for the cafe and the 2 event rooms, will be maintained for the benefit of the hotel for the life of that use. So the only change to the existing finding is I added plus the required parking spaces for that cafe and the 2 event rooms. Would you like to include those in this parking requirement?
I wouldn't mind that so much. The only thing is we need to know how much, a little further what the numbers are. Because in the next paragraph, that's when you talk about how many parking spaces themselves. So we'll have
Right.
to get that
Right.
determined.
What do you
But other
think, Commissioner
While I
Charbonneau?
love parking, I don't think we should add the cafe, because if the cafe were put on the zoning, it wouldn't require parking.
Well, actually, that is not true. I just hope I have that in here somewhere. Our code says at least 70% of the parking spaces which would be required if the cafe and 2 event spaces were standalone uses must be provided at the off-site parking location and shuttle valet service. So, may I ask administration to quote from our parking code, which is section 1510, 215 parking P2? I thought I had that written out, but I didn't apparently stick it in the right spot.
have
Could
it
you
here.
read that, please?
It says, where a hotel or motel has other principal uses such as restaurants, bar, and meeting rooms located on its premises, the principal use requiring the greatest amount of parking shall provide 100% of the required parking spaces, and the other uses shall provide, in addition, at least 70% of the parking spaces which would be required if these were standalone uses.
So it is required in our code because it's a hotel, and they're providing a cafe and 2 event rooms. So we don't know, we just received tonight 50 to 100 people for each event room, and the cafe has 32, so 70% of what that is would be the number.
And I think when Chair Griswold, that also too, for the cafe, for each 4 top, you have to have 1 parking space. So, and then maybe you can divvy it up for the event rooms too, to figure out if you got 80 people and you can maybe take 70% of that, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Would
just to
you
put-
like to calculate that for us?
Yeah, and just to put, for the commissioner's consideration, I think what Commissioner Charbonneau was pointing out is the statement of the parking spaces which would be required if these were standalone uses. if the cafe and the meeting places were standalone uses in the central business, they wouldn't be required to have any parking. They would just be on-street parking. However, if they were in another zoning district, the parking spaces required for a restaurant is the broad category here. Sorry, I'm finding it in our table here.
Eating and drinking
Yeah.
establishments, that's
So-
one parking space per 200 square feet of gross floor area, or one for each 4 seats, whichever is greater.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what would that number be?
So if we go with the 32 seats, then it'd be 8.
Whoever figures the 32 seats, and then there'd be eight parking spaces, is that it?
For all 4 hotels.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be massive. And the event spaces? How
So
many?
we have under churches, auditoriums,
Same thing.
public places of public assembly, 1 space for each 4 seats maximum capacity.
Basically the same thing.
Okay.
So how many seats would that be? For
Depending
each?
25 for each 100 room.
So another 50?
So it'd be 58.
Mhm.
But then he takes 70% of that, right?
Yeah, could you do that math for me? So what's 70% of 64, if I copy those numbers?
Those down there.
45.
45. Okay. Without requiring that, there's a potential for 45 spaces being taken up downtown.
Sure.
So,
That makes sense.
should we keep it then?
Yes.
The next item under that, CUP conditions. A minimum of 1 parking space per guest unit will be provided for the off-site parking location. This is a 42-room hotel, so 44 parking spaces are required, with at least 2 of the parking spaces complying with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I researched ADA requirements, and there's a really nice explanation on the government site. And a way to think of it is that fortunately most people are not disabled, and so those spots go unclaimed. But if you have a need for 42 able-bodied guests, and you only require 42 spaces, of which 2 are ADA, then you don't have enough for the able-bodied people. So the way the government interprets this is you need the 42 spaces plus 2, plus the aisles. And this would all be occurring at the off-site spot. But it would be 42 spaces plus the 2, a little difference in what the packet says, plus at least 2 for the ADA spaces, plus the required spaces for the cafe and the 2 event rooms, and that's another 45. Commissioner
Just
Hubbard.
insertion here. Again, those are, just because they're connected with the hotel, I mean, they don't get to qualify still as a standalone
The code
entity.
specifically says a hotel that has these included additional uses, but it knocks it down to 70% instead of 100%.
Seems like a horrendous amount of parking.
Right. And it is a horrendous amount of parking if we need those, if people using the facility need those spaces.
Yeah, but it's never all at one time.
Well, the events
Right.
happen at night and the hotel is happening at night. But it's all gonna be off-site, so they just need to have a large parking lot with a very efficient shuttle valet service. but go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead, I'm just,
Okay.
I don't agree with the 42 parking space per room either. I think, it just doesn't seem like it's a little, and then plus 2 more for handicap. So you, even though you have 42 rooms,
44.
and 3 of those or 4 of those are already handicap rooms, you're still going to require an additional 2 parking spots?
Yeah.
That's what.
Even though
That's-
within those 42 rooms, there's handicap rooms. I mean, I think in the thing here, he has like 3 rooms. He has 1 on each floor, or 2 on each floor.
44 rooms are filled up with 42 people, they take 42 spots, but then if it's
44 rooms. and that is
42.
42 rooms, and and within those 42 rooms, there's, I didn't look, is it 6? 6 handicap
Well,
rooms?
it's just code and ADA
Right,
policy.
right, it's code. It's ADA. It's required by federal government.
Yeah, that's fine. But the 42 is also, could fall under the CUP too, or a,
Right, so they have 42 rooms.
or we could have a condition.
Right, but I think you still need to provide at least, for example, if you'd like to make an amendment, to propose an amendment, that we only require 10 parking spots, I believe they'd still require 2 ADA spots.
Thank you.
So would you like to discuss the numbers here? Is this a time that you would like to, because we are now in the conditions that we're going to approve. Would you like to make a motion and get a second? Go ahead.
Chair Griswold, I was going to recommend get through your list first and everything that the commission agrees on, and then we could make a motion to just approve that. And
Okay.
then the other items that are more controversial or there's some objections, then we can handle those
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay, so let's set aside condition 2 and we'll come back to that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Condition 3, I have no problems with it. A shuttle valet service must be provided through the hotel to transport individuals between the parking lot and the hotel.
I'm good.
Seems straightforward.
Yep.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Number 4, the hotel shall provide a minimum of 1 watertight, animal-resistant dumpster screened on 3 sides by a solid wood structure. The location of the dumpster shall be on-site and approved by the Public Works Director and waste contractor. You like it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Let's go on to 5. The hotel shall not reserve any parking spaces for its use along 4th Avenue.
Yeah, are you substituting 5? Because the existing 5 is exterior
I'm
lighting.
adding,
Oh, okay.
so this is a new number 5.
Okay, caught me off guard.
Would you like to make this a condition, that they shall not reserve any spots in front of the hotel for their use? It's public right-of-way, and they
Oh,
should
yeah,
not be,
it is public right of way.
they should not be restricted.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, I'm good with that.
just to make it real clear. And the Hotel Edgewater has signs in front of their hotel, only 2-hour parking, and that pretty much eliminates people staying there overnight or all day. Frees it up for the public's use. Okay, 6, a new number 6. And this one we already talked about. At least 70% of the parking spaces, which would be required. So let's circle that one as come back. New number 7, the main entrance on 4th Avenue shall be ADA compliant. And it looks like it would be a fairly easy little ramp up there.
Yeah.
That's the main entrance, and it's got steps.
Doesn't that come under
Steps.
building code and?
60% of the entrances need to be ADA, so the other ones, like from the shuttle, looks like it's just a straight walk-in. And the one on the north on Church Street looks like a straight walk-in. This one is on, finally it gets to a slope, and the slope's going down, so they had to put in a few stairs.
But the code is 60%, so should we
Right.
let them figure out where their 60% needs to be?
I think we should ask that the main entrance be ADA compliant.
seems.
These are first-class citizens. We shouldn't be asked to go around the side.
I agree with that. I'm just saying it makes sense for the front to be ADA accessible, but I'm not sure we need to require it since it's 60%. And by law, they need to do 60%, so technically they should be doing that already. I don't know if it's an overreach, is what I'm trying to say.
In the commission or in the administrative recommendations, they recommended that too. Should we keep it? Keep it?
Okay.
New number 8, snow and ice must be removed from the site, not pushed into the street. And this was a recommendation from Public Works.
Yeah, that is an issue. Yeah, that'd be good.
9, exterior lighting shall be shielded and provide direct downward illumination.
Yep.
Chair Griswold?
Yes.
So I'm a little confused on that one, because that one was number 5.
Right. So now I inserted some ahead just to make it more logical.
So 5 is now becoming number 9.
So exterior lighting is now number 9.
9.
A new number 10, in season, hanging baskets of flowers and/or other attractive planters shall be provided by the entrances on 4th Avenue and Church Street. This is where we might require landscaping.
I like it, but I still think it needs to be under something different. I don't know if I want to put it here.
If it's not a condition, they won't have to do it.
Are we using the entire block, then how much landscaping can you do?
That's why I restricted it to
Planters?
hanging baskets and planters. Tried to get a little
Something.
landscaping in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I'm good.
And landscaping is obviously a condition we can apply.
That's true.
And
So you're just
su-
qualifying the
supported-
landscaping into what they specifically say? Yeah, got
Right.
it.
Sound good?
Can you read it again?
Sure. In season, hanging baskets of flowers and/or other attractive plants or planters shall be provided by the entrances on 4th Avenue and Church Street.
That doesn't seem like landscaping.
What else could we do with
Yes,
temporary
I think you
100%
can.
lot
I don't think we
coverage?
can.
Aesthetics.
Right.
I think that's the only term we can fairly use, isn't it, at this point? I don't know, is there any other
No, it's a condition.
official term we can use for that?
No, I know it's a conditional use permit, we can put it in for landscaping, but I still, like Sean says, I don't know, like, yeah, it just seems still a little more overreaching. But,
Okay. We can make
Majority.
that, I'll circle that as a controversial item. Hopefully, they would want to do that themselves, but I
Right.
found where we've required landscaping, there's nothing but weeds. It's just nothing. Don't, it's got to be in there or it's not enforceable. But I circled it as something to come back to. The new 11 is no sign may extend above the roof line in the historic district. And that's just straight out of code. And then the final two are the final two of the original conditions. Per Seward City Code, an approved CUP shall lapse 6 months, da-da-da. And modifications of final approval may be, on application by the permittee, be modified by us for whatever. Okay, so those are all the findings that I wanted to add. At this time, are there any other conditions that anyone else would like to add before we go back and discuss the 3?
no,
Seems I have a pretty comprehensive list.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's go back and discuss
Parking.
number 2. A minimum of 1 parking space per guest will be provided for at the off-site parking location. This is a 42-room hotel, so 44 spaces are required, with at least 2 of the parking spaces complying with the Americans Disability Act. And we were thinking of deleting plus the required spaces for the cafe, the 2 event rooms, and employees. Would you like to
Well,
delete that
That's what you
requirement?
added.
Pardon me?
Isn't that what you added? It's not in here.
Right.
yeah,
I did correct the 42 to 44 because we have to have the 2 ADA spaces.
So that is misnoted in here then.
Right. So the
So it
change,
should be in-
change in number 2 would be change that to 44 spaces with at least 2 complying with ADA. But I think the controversy is, do you want to include plus the required spaces for that cafe and the 2 event rooms, which is 45 spaces in the remote parking lot?
well, I was against it, but I love parking. But code, and as we read through, code does allow additional parking added for event spaces or other businesses within a hotel. So if it's in the code, then I think we should abide by it.
It's in
Commissioner Hubbard, what do you think?
I just think there needs to be some parking on site to some degree. It can't be all off-site,
Okay.
especially for the handicapped people. Otherwise, they're moving twice, and then there's just a need. I mean, I get his business model, and we're talking, you know, a summertime thing, and you've got this shuttle thing going. What about the off-season and then these other activities that are going on? And the future is, if this gets moved on to somebody else, are they going to have the same business model? Are they going to have the same opportunity for off-site parking? Where is this going to go?
So would you like to add another provision to that saying that handicap parking will be on site? Is that
And
what-
plus more,
Or plus more?
yeah.
So you would be,
Because there's no parking for employees either.
would you be suggesting, because it is 100% lot coverage right now for that 42-room hotel, would you be suggesting a smaller hotel that had on-site parking?
He could do whatever, however he wants to modify it. It could, like I said, he could do underneath parking. There's an elevation opportunity to dig down deeper and make underground parking. Or have something closer by, or, and plus, what, if it's going from lot line to lot line, where is this snow storage gonna come in at?
You'll have to remove that. That was one of the conditions, that
Condition
snow and ice must be
8.
removed from the site, not pushed into the street. So they'll have to have a snow removal service.
Well, what snow are you removing from 100%?
They're responsible for the
Sidewalks.
sidewalks,
Okay,
and they have a sidewalk on Church and on Ford.
gotcha. So not as much as a place that has 60% coverage and landscaping, you know.
exactly.
So take that into account, the snow might not be all that much.
Right, but just not added to the problem in the street.
Right. Like any downtown business.
So what would the commission like to do about Rhonda's idea? I'd like to discuss it a little more before you make a motion. Should on-site parking in some form be required?
Yes, I think so. And I can't,
How many
unless I get down
spaces?
and look at the square footage, and, I mean, my novice opinion, if he doesn't do underground, if that's desirable, and again, I'm not understanding the full cost, but there needs to be some on-site parking. I just really think that needs
Do
to
you
be
want to
there.
suggest a number of sites?
But if we
Go
need
ahead.
to stick to what we're dealing with here, because on-site wasn't put in the plan, are we getting off of track?
I don't know.
Feel
I
like
think
we are.
she's challenging the design that's 100% that doesn't provide on-site parking.
But then let that be.
So you mentioned that could be a cutout,
Mhm.
and then they would park under the cutout,
Yeah.
and that would eliminate, it could eliminate the cafe, for example. could
No,
eliminate
you could,
event
if you
space.
dig down.
Oh,
I think we're getting off track. I don't
Yeah.
think we're discussing site plans. We're discussing whether this plan should go ahead, and if you
That's true.
don't like the way this plan is, then
Okay.
that's how you need to vote.
so at this time, the plan is for 100% lot coverage and no on-site parking.
Chair Griswold,
Yes,
I think what we have to
Commissioner
do,
Sullivan.
we have to probably vote on this resolution, and then if it fails, say for that, because we have everything in there, we vote on this as it is at 100%. If it fails, then perhaps it comes back with something that Commissioner Hubbard would want, because that's a huge modification to change
It
from
is.
42 rooms to
Yeah.
32 rooms
Yeah.
for parking. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
fair to the,
Right,
to the
I wanna do
applicant at
that.
all.
right.
So,
There's other ways around it.
So I
Right.
think we need to take this thing as it is, this critter as it is, and decide what we're
Good
gonna do. And then if it fails and he wants to pursue something else because we failed this or we passed this, whatever we decide to do, then we go from there. We either live with the complete off-site, and if it fails, then because of the parking, then he would have to do another one if he wanted to continue to pursue something, which I think it's cleaner that way.
So at this time,
However, is that going to postpone the, I don't know what the timeline is or how time sensitive this is. We've got, so this is, once we approve this, it would have to get going within 6 months.
right, or they could apply for an extension.
Yeah.
We do extensions per our suggested modifications.
No,
If it-
we're just voting
uh,
on this.
Just voting
Chair
yes.
Sullivan,
just-
or Chair Griswold,
Yeah.
yes, Chair Sullivan here.
We're one
We're all confused here. What happens if it's no fault of the applicant? Then, then the CUP or the planning department can, community development department can help with that and extend, because you've extended other CUPs before. So if it's through no fault of his, then we're good to go.
Right, and they can come back with modifications. That was at the end of this
Right.
list, the boilerplate. You can come back, and then we would approve modifications.
So does this mean that there's an amendment then?
Well, I'd like to summarize. So,
Oh,
Just-
excuse me, Chair
go ahead.
Griswold, before you go on with your summary, I just wanted
I just want to summarize number 2.
Oh, just number 2, I thought you
Yeah,
meant an overall summary.
no, just number 2. We're still on number 2. So I just want to summarize, the change in number 2 is that sentence, this is a 42-room hotel, so 44 parking spaces are required, with at least 2 of the parking spaces complying with the ADA Disabilities Act. Does the commission agree with that? That's pretty much.
Yes.
I do, yes.
Do you agree with, this is, I think, the controversial one, plus the required spaces for the cafe and the 2 event rooms, which would be another 45 spaces in the remote lot? Do you want to require that as well?
Because it's in code.
It is code.
Yes, because it's in code.
Yes.
Just don't see its
I would-
impact when it's off-site.
We have very few tools.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. It's 100% lot coverage, and the code says you either have to have it on site within 600 feet or remote with a shuttle valet service.
Yes.
So we'll keep the 44 spaces, including 2 ADAs and the required spaces for the cafe and the 2 event rooms.
42 spaces plus 2 spaces for a total of 44.
Correct.
So this is a 42-room hotel, so 44 spaces are required with at least 2 of the parking spaces complying with the ADA.
Okay.
Okay, so that one's done. Let's move on to the other 2 that were controversial. Number 6, that's pretty much the same thing. That just quotes the code.
The new 6 or the old 6?
The new 6, at least 70% of the parking spaces, which would be required if the cafe and event spaces were standalone uses,
Okay.
must be provided at the off-site parking location, and shuttle valet service must be provided. So that is code already, but I think it's important to keep it in here as a condition, just to keep it from being buried. keep it?
Yeah, that's appropriate, because it's in code.
Okay. And then the new number 10, that was about the in-season hanging baskets of flowers.
Right.
Should we require any landscaping whatsoever?
If they're using the whole lot, I don't know what landscaping are you gonna do?
Well, the hanging baskets are
Oh, and that's
landscaping.
fine, yeah, okay.
Should we require, should we
We require landscaping on other buildings,
We do.
do?
so I suppose.
I'm all over landscaping for that regard. I'm good.
Commissioner Ullman?
It doesn't seem like landscaping to me. It seems minor, and, you know,
Okay.
we're talking about big stuff.
Right?
This was not, and it seems like an overreach. I feel like the builder, they should have a choice of how they design that, do that, you know?
So
So I
not,
wouldn't-
not required.
I wouldn't, can't, yeah, no fill. Yeah.
Red fence.
Well, most places do it anyway, and I think
I hope.
his Spruce Lodge already has it, so I think he probably would do it anyway.
Shall we strike number 10?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not unanimous.
Not very important. Okay. So that's section 1. Did the clerk wish to speak to that?
I was going to make a suggestion, just because these additions are so numerous, you know, more so than we could possibly do with amendments. If, when we get to the end of this discussion, it would be possible to make a motion to postpone this and give staff time to kind of take in all the changes and then present a substitute resolution. And you could have a special meeting, maybe a double header with your next work session, and have a special meeting just on this, you know, unfinished business. If the commission wanted to see all these changes in writing in front of them. Just an option for when
Okay,
you're done
that is
with
an
your
option.
discussion.
I feel we have discussed them each individually. Would you like to have it come back would you like to postpone it and have it come back so you could see them
I would.
in writing?
I agree, I think it's a good idea, not only for us, but for the public, to see them all written out
Okay,
instead of just a quick discussion.
okay.
Yeah, plus I just feel like I need a little more information on, you know, what's doable in the plan and what some different options are to accommodate what we're trying to encourage and address our concerns. Again, I'm all for his business model today, but tomorrow, you know, we're all disposable and dispensable at some point, and he may sell out, and then where does that, you know, is it going to be the same idea, and will they have access to those off-site options?
Right.
So it's just when we think of winter time around here too, what we're going to be dealing with snow and this and that. So I really would like to kind of let this stuff marinate with everybody and come back
Okay.
at it.
I would also suggest we should not let it marinate a long time, because the applicant obviously would like to get moving on this project if it's approved. So the special session probably should be as soon as possible, whatever public notice. What would public notice be? What's the earliest we could have a special meeting?
I believe it's only 24-hour notice for a special meeting.
Okay.
I just picked the work session date because I know that you're all planning to be here, which I think is the 17th of September. It could be a double header, but we could certainly try to schedule one sooner. That was the issues of the commission.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm just a little confused on like how we would proceed. Is the direction you going with all these amendments to like get them all in, have us like approve that, and then vote on all these changes you just made be the vote? Because I'm not prepared to do that. I would be in
Right.
favor of postponing.
Commissioner Allman, I
Yeah.
think I could speak to that. So the idea here with the special meeting and postponing it would be to give staff time to record all these changes and then bring back a retooled version of this resolution, like a substitute version of the resolution.
Okay.
And that would be much closer to the final product. And then from that, you could make like an amendment here or there, but it would have like, 99% of everything that's been discussed, added into it.
Could
So
the
you
Apple, okay,
So you wouldn't have to be making like 100 amendments tonight.
right.
could the applicant be involved in that new process, that new CUP that we see at the special meeting?
I don't think so at this point.
Okay, thanks.
So would we now need a motion and a second to postpone this to time certain?
You would, but I would only do that if you're at the very end of your discussion, because once you postpone it, then we move on to the next item. So if you feel like you've discussed this to the point where you're done discussing it and you don't feel comfortable taking a final vote on it, you could make a motion to postpone.
And I'd also like to determine the date when we go through our work sessions. So can I just say postpone to time certain and then establish that date a little later in our agenda?
So the work session is September 17th. Were you hoping to have the special meeting sooner than that?
I'd like to discuss it in conjunction with our other meetings. So we also have some pretty heavy-duty work sessions coming up. But would that be appropriate to just ask for a motion and a second to postpone this to time certain and not specify it right now?
To a time to be determined by the commission?
Right.
Yeah, that seems appropriate.
Is the commission done discussing this at this time?
I would like to go back to number 2 on the
Okay.
parking.
Sure.
I was wondering if the commission could possibly look at the plan and say, looking at the basement area, if that was to be accessible for parking, how many parking spots could potentially be in there? Or is that beyond their scope?
I think it's beyond our scope. That would be a major architectural change. So we need to look at, this is a 100% coverage, 42-unit hotel. And where will parking occur? Off-site somewhere, we don't know yet.
So if we come in and say, well, we require that you need at least, whether it be 10 to 20 spaces on site, they're gonna have to come back with another plan that we have to approve?
I don't think we could ask that.
So it's either you totally, we vote it down, or
I think
then
that
he
would
comes
be the
back and
choice.
then he has to start over?
I think that would be the choice. We can't require such major architectural changes and expenses by conditions. Are we done discussing? I need a motion and a second to postpone this.
I'll motion to postpone the current resolution to a determined date by the commission.
I'll second.
Mr. Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Voting to postpone this resolution to a date to be determined by the commission. Charbonneau,
Yes.
Fairhay,
Yes.
Allman,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
and Chair Griswold.
Yes.
Okay, this resolution has been postponed.
Okay. Thank you for your patience, audience. Let us move through my paperwork. To the second public hearing. Would the clerk please read that into the record?
Resolution 2024-018 of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Seward, Alaska, granting a conditional use permit to Major Marine Tours to construct a second employee bunkhouse on Track B, Lear Industrial Subdivision, located at 1804 Lear Road, within an industrial zoning district.
Thank you. Administration, do we have any comments?
Thanks, Chair, as well. This property is the same location as a year ago. You may remember the commission reviewed a CUP application for a bunkhouse. The property is owned by Lear Enterprises LLC, and Major Marine Tours is the lessee of the property. The recommended conditions for this bunkhouse, which will be identical to the current bunkhouse that's on the property, are that the applicant will work with the building official to ensure that the building meets International Fire Code and International Building Code. and that the applicant will also work with appropriate city departments for upgrades and connections to water and sewer and electric. The minimum of 1 parking space per 4 residents at maximum capacity shall be provided for on site, and 1 ADA accessible parking space. All parking maneuverability shall remain on site for the life of the use, and then for emergency response purposes, that separate street addresses will be assigned to each structure, and this is something that will actually be done internally. And then all areas not devoted to buildings, drives, or walks, or parking areas will be covered with one or more of the following: lawn, grass, natural or ornamental shrubbery or trees. And the landscaping would need to be completed within 1 year. This is what we had required on the other bunkhouse on this property. And then, of course, the bear-resistant dumpster provided for on site with a three-walled structure containing the dumpster. And those are the current proposed conditions for this conditional use permit.
Any questions for administration?
No.
Okay. What are the wishes of the commission?
Excuse me,
Oh.
Chair Griswold.
I'm so
We're
sorry.
missing a few steps.
We are certainly missing many steps. Okay,
So the public hearing is next, and then we also need a motion and a second whenever you're
right.
ready.
I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion for approval of Resolution 2024-018.
Second.
Would you like to call for the vote? Oh, man, I'm sorry, I'm getting tired.
Would you like to open the public hearing?
Yes, I would like to find my place.
I can tell you that
I will now open the public hearing. Has anyone signed in to speak?
nobody has signed in.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak at this time on the bunkhouse? Please state your name, inside or outside, and you have 5 minutes.
Colby Lawrence, outside city limits. As was mentioned, we already have 1 bunkhouse built on this property, and we have numerous employees that come to Seward just for the summer. This is where we house them, and it's been a huge upgrade for our company to have this building, and to have another one will just make it that much better for our summer employees. And in addition, it's going to help get some of the other properties that we have in Seward that we have used for employee housing back into the year-round rental market, or even our year-round employees that have had a hard time finding housing. We'll move them into some of those spots. So for us, it's a win-win. Our employees, happy employees, make happy guests, and that's what we want out there. And this housing is key to that for us. The building is identical, it's just oriented in a different direction. That's the only change, and we certainly will be doing all the landscaping and whatnot to get some green grass and some nice areas for our employees to hang out at in the evenings. So yeah, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for the applicant?
You have more parking spaces, which is good.
We have plenty of parking.
Yeah.
We don't have 15 acres, but
I was wondering why you had 17 spaces. Is that something you need? You're only required to have 8?
Larry can answer that one for you.
Okay. There's like, amazing to have 17 spaces.
Yeah, as with, I'm not going to go back to the last conversation, but our employees, most of them don't have cars anyway. They're here for the summer, so they have bicycles for the most part. I mean, there's a handful that have, but we have plenty of parking, and we want to make sure that if they have a car, they have somewhere to park. Because we certainly can't have them parking in the harbor, because there's nowhere to park in the harbor.
Commissioner Hubbard, did you have a
Yeah,
question?
how many units are you occupying or using for your employees now that are, say, in residential districts right now?
Two units that are in residential, and maybe one more that's in auto commercial or something. Yeah.
Like 2 rooms or like 2
No,
buildings?
houses,
Yeah.
3-bedroom houses.
I have one, this is just kind of an outlier, but what do you do for cleaning these rooms? Do you guys have like a maid service that comes in, or
No,
you just leave, do you have a deposit for the employees?
Yeah, there's a deposit for the rooms, and we have an employee on staff that checks in on all of our housing units throughout the summer. So we have several housing units, so this person goes around and checks to make sure that the kitchens are clean and that they're taking care of the rooms. I mean, it's the building that we just got built last year is brand new, and they need to treat it like that, and they do.
So do all of them have kitchen use and bathrooms?
Yeah.
Each one of them does?
So the bunkhouse has 14 rooms. Each room has its own bathroom, and then it's a 2-story building, and on each floor there's a communal kitchen. So there's 2 kitchens in the unit, or in the building, with two ovens in each kitchen, 2 sinks, 2 dishwashers, a big common kitchen, TV, couch, kind of like a common area.
I noticed you guys are already moved some dirt around down there. What's that about? Did you already got?
That'd be a question for Larry also.
Oh, okay.
May I speak?
You would need to come up to the table. Any other questions? for
I would
Mr.
ask quick
Williams?
just about the current bunkhouse, like winter plans. Is there a chance that could be rented out like month to month for,
100%. We have, like I said, we also have several other bunkhouses in Seward. We use 100 beds for our employees. Like there was 100 beds this summer for our employees between Major Marine Tours, the Harbor 360, and the Gateway Hotel. That includes J1 students, and the majority of those housing units are empty in the winter, and there's a certain expense to that, just building it. So if the diversion tunnel needs housing, or the cruise ship, the new cruise ship dock, we certainly are very willing to work with any of the companies to set something up for rentals.
Company, how about even just like
Oh,
someone's
yeah,
like
for sure. If there's, I mean, we keep the heat on in some of these buildings, and if we only have one person in there, it's very expensive to heat. If there's 20 people in there, it's a little less expensive, for us as a company to heat. So yeah, we have units for rent.
The new bunkhouse would have the same potential for winter rental.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. Would the builder like to speak?
Would you like me to?
I think we do have a few questions. Thank you.
I didn't mean to bring up the bus.
Would you please state your name and in or out for the record?
Larry Harmon, and I live in Seward, in the city
Okay.
limits.
Would you like to say anything before we pepper you with questions?
No, go ahead and fire away.
Okay. Who would like to ask a question of the builder?
Oh, I was just curious I noticed there was some dirt moved around down there, and
There was 2 things that we're doing there. We're trying to get a jump start, hoping, that this would pass. But I also needed to see the soil sample. That will determine what the structural engineer needs to do for this. The last time we ran into a little bit of garbage down in there. This is all dredge material, but it's good. We also tied into the sewer line at the same time.
I had a question if you're finished. On page 53, the architect drawings. For the parking area that exists between the new unit and the old unit, there seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4 parking spaces that I see there that the footage is marked out, but it's not proportional, and I just wanted to make sure that there was going to be enough room in there for those cars to get in and park.
In between the two buildings? Yeah, I think there's 54 feet there.
Okay. I see it drawn on here, but they're not drawn to scale, and I was just trying to make sure that
Yes.
even though they're not to scale, it is going to be the correct amount of turning radius.
Yeah, there's plenty of parking there on this side.
Okay.
I think
Fantastic.
you were asking why there's so many on that one. I think we ended up maybe losing one on the other building, so we put it over there. I'm not sure.
Okay, I don't have questions.
Do you know where the dumpster will be located?
I think we'd use the same dumpster that's there now. It's on the south end of the existing warehouse. It has a screen around it as well.
Could I ask a question of administration about that? So 2 separate buildings, the code requires that each building have its own dumpster. Would it be allowable through a condition to let both bunkhouses use the same dumpster?
So I'm looking, dumpster requirements are actually in Title 14, so I'm not as familiar with that. Let me,
If during the plan review, if another dumpster is required, there's lots of room that we could put another dumpster in there.
Be nice though if you could just use the same one. You
Correct.
might have to empty it more often, who knows, but,
Yeah,
But if-
I don't know
if
how
it's
often
allowed.
it gets emptied now,
right,
bi-weekly.
right.
yeah, I'd have to verify with the Public Works Director. It seems with just a quick scan that it pertains more to the property versus buildings, but yeah, I'd have to verify that with the Public Works Director.
Yeah, it is on the same property.
Okay. Did you have any concerns or questions about the packet conditions?
On the what?
The packet conditions?
I don't know if I'm hearing you or not
Okay,
understanding.
in the packet, there are conditions for this conditional use
Oh,
permit?
I didn't read them.
Are you,
I'm not the applicant, so I didn't read them.
okay, you're just the guy that built it.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine, okay. Any other questions for the builder? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would the applicant wish to speak?
I
You have to come up for the record.
Colby Lawrence, outside city limits. I read the conditions and everything seems just fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Would anyone else in the audience wish to speak at this time on the bunkhouse CUP? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the commission?
I would like to make a motion to amend a portion of resolution 2024-018.
Okay,
In particular, under the conditional use permits that we're putting on page 50, number 8, where it says a 3-walled structure with roof must be provided on site to house the bear resistant containers. Since it's going to be a dumpster, I think we could strike with roof, because the dumpster might have a difficult time, the trash truck might have a difficult time pulling the dumpster out with a roof on it. So if it were to just say, a 3-walled structure must be provided on site to house bear resistant containers. I think that would be appropriate.
any discussion?
Good. I would just simply say, good catch.
Did I hear a second for that
Yeah,
motion?
did I hear a second?
Oh, I'll have a second for that, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, the amendment.
So Commissioner Charbonneau moved to remove the roof, with roof on condition 8, and Commissioner Sullivan seconded. Any discussion?
So the bear-resistant containers obviously already have a lid, so figure they don't need a roof.
No, I'm asking to remove it because they're using dumpsters, and a structure with a roof would be
Oh.
potentially difficult for a truck to grab and lift it up.
So just strike 8,
No,
Is what you-
strike
the roof.
with roof. Would you like me to read it again?
Well, if you're gonna have a dumpster, why even have a structure?
It makes a residential bunkhouse perhaps a little more attractive.
Oh, I see. I've seen them, an example of that would be down at the harbor. I think there's one down at the harbor.
And there is one on site right now
Yeah.
that was required with the first bunkhouse.
It does
And
make it more attractive.
It does
Yeah.
look
Yeah, it kinda shades it.
slightly more
Yeah.
attractive.
Yeah.
And
Got
it
it.
screens it from the street a
Yeah, it
little
screens
bit.
it, right.
It is a residential use in an industrial zone.
Yeah.
So any amenities that we can require to make it look a little more residential is nice. It's not just, and it's a nice looking bunkhouse too. So that was just a practical move. If it were beer cans, a roof might be very, very nice to shelter
The whole thing.
the beer cans, but in this case, we know it will be a dumpster. Do we need to call for a vote on that?
Yeah, if you're ready to
Okay.
vote.
Let's vote on that amendment to number 8.
And just for the record, number 8 would read, "A 3-walled structure must be provided on site to house the bear-resistant containers." Or striking the words "with roof." Okay. Voting on that amendment, Charbonneau,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Allman,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Verhey,
Yes.
and Chair Griswold.
Yes.
Okay, that amendment has been approved, and the main motion as amended is back on the floor.
Did the commission take time to look through the findings on starting on page 47? And they are the same findings that we went through for the hotel CUP. Did you find any changes that you'd like to make in those findings?
Well, Chair Griswold, I just want to say, these are pretty much the same as the last time that we had it, so I'm good with
It is
it as they are.
very much the same as
Yeah.
the first bunkhouse.
Sure you don't want to, they did mention that they put a green space in there, but in case we can't depend on that, should we put it in, make an amendment to see that that's provided?
It's one of the conditional use permits. Is it number?
Number 6 says landscaping must be completed 1 year from when the occupancy certificate has been issued.
It's already in
So
there.
that
Okay.
is
In there.
already in there.
All right.
But that does bring up the parking again on number 3. So it doesn't say anything about parking numbers. So it says a minimum of 1 parking space per 4 residents at maximum capacity shall be provided on site. So that, I'd like to add for a total of, let's just keep going, at least, this is where we get into trouble. At least one of those parking spaces shall be compliant with the American Disabilities Act. This needs to be amended to say plus. So a minimum of 1 parking space for 4 residents at maximum capacity, plus at least 1 parking space compliant with the American Disabilities Act for a total of 9 spaces minimum shall be required on site. Yeah, that wordsmithing may not be real smooth, but let me wordsmith that
So
for
there's
just a minute.
16 units in this?
There's apparently 14.
14.
So 1 per 4 residents, it's 14 divided by 4, right?
It's
Each
actually
room would,
2.
each room would have 4 occupants? 2?
2.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need to kind of wordsmith this whole thing.
So there's 14 times 2.
So, yeah, there's
Equals
several
So there would be
errors in this.
7 rooms required per code for the bunkhouse.
So maximum 28 people can be housed. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Divided by 4. Could you
Divided
say?
by 4 is 7. 7 parking places plus
188
188.
for a total.
Okay, I'm almost there.
Okay.
So I would just like to ask Commission how this reads to you. A minimum of 8 spaces must be required on site, including at least one ADA compliant space.
Got it.
That's pretty clear?
Includes it. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to amend number 3 to a minimum of 8 spaces must be required on site, including at least one ADA compliant space.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay. We had our discussion. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Voting on Amendment 2 regarding the ADA spaces. Verhey,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Charbonneau,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
and Chair Griswold.
Yes.
Okay, that amendment has passed, and the main motion with 2 amendments is back on the floor.
Any other discussion? I would just like to say that seasonal employee housing is a much-needed development in our town, and these bunkhouses have proven to be very well-designed, very much appreciated, and high quality. So we appreciate that the companies are providing seasonal employees and perhaps longer-term people with housing. Really appreciate that. Mr. Clerk, would you please call for the vote?
Okay, so this is the final vote for the main motion with the 2 amendments. This is the whole shebang. Verhey,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Charbonneau,
Yes.
and Chair Griswold.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution has been approved as amended.
Okay. And now we're going to move on to our 3rd public hearing. Would the clerk please read this into the record?
Resolution 2024-019 of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Seward, Alaska, recommending Kenai Peninsula Borough approval of the preliminary plat of the Point Subdivision, Tract A, located at 1823 Nash Road, creating the Point Subdivision Number 2, Tract A1, and Lots 1 and 2.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-019.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Administration, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Chair Griswold. On page 72 of the packet, you'll see the actual rendering of the preliminary plat. However, I'll direct you to the pages prior to it that might show a little bit simpler terms what's happening here. So on page 69, you'll see the current parcel outlined in yellow. So the parcel currently is Tract A, so a single parcel that is halfway inside city limits and halfway outside city limits. The applicant is simply dividing the parcel to separate the land, the portion that is inside city limits from the portion that is outside city limits. So on the next page, 70, you'll see a simple rendering sketch of the preliminary plat of what will be happening. So the single tract of land now will be 3 parcels. Tract A1, which is all inside city limits, and then Lot 1 and Lot 2, which will be outside city limits. So the portion of land that is inside city limits, of which the commission has authority for making recommendations to the borough, is essentially not changing. The most changes are occurring on the land outside of city limits, but the tract inside is now going to be its own separate tract of land.
Any questions for administration? What are the wishes of the commission?
I'm just...
Oh, sorry.
You
I'm
wanna
on
open-
it.
You want to open the public hearing?
I'm on
Okay.
it. I now open the public hearing. Is anyone signed in to speak?
Nobody is signed in.
We're onto a pattern here. Would anyone in the audience wish to speak? I close the public hearing. And now, what are the wishes of the commission?
I just have a question in regards to how this, or why this wasn't taken care of earlier and just as a default since it's inside city limits. Why do we have to go through this formality?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It was- I mean, it's not, there's no requirement for land to be platted like this if there is a portion inside and outside city limits. So I think it was just the owner's preference of how they wanted their land platted. And there has been a change in ownership in the past year, and so the new owners have this preference to divide up the land and clean it up to separate between outside and inside city limits.
So if it wasn't separated, what codes and covenants would they fall under?
So the portion of land that would be that is in city limits still would follow with inside city with city code. Yeah.
So when we did the cup, it didn't affect the borough, it didn't matter to them. The cup just applied to the city limit part, or that portion that's in city limits, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
What are the wishes of the commission?
Well, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It does look very straightforward.
Yeah.
Are we ready for a vote?
Yes.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2024-019, Sullivan,
Yes.
Allman,
Yes.
Charbonneau,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Verhey,
Yes.
and Chair Griswold.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution has been approved.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is unfinished business. There is none. New business, resolutions, there are none. Other new business is to discuss the work session topics for September 17th, 2024. And under this list says housing discussion. Administration, would you like to go into that?
Sure, yeah, we have been planning for a couple months now for this to be the big housing conversation. First of what may be a few work sessions, and so I can kind of give you an idea of things that we've been planning and want to get feedback from you all if there's anything that you would like us to research or bring to the table for that work session. But Nicole Lawrence did a presentation for PACAB that kind of highlight the need for a specific type of housing in Seward, and so she's agreed to come present that and answer any questions that the commission might have. We also have the fire chief, Kreitz, will come in because I think we want to have a conversation around building height and clean up that code a little bit. Currently, the building height code says the purpose of building height standards is to prevent loss of life or excessive property damage through the inability of the city fire department to reach upper stories or roofs and help maintain the character of neighborhoods. And I think Chief Kreitz will speak to the language that's relating to the upper stories and roofs is no longer accurate anymore. And so I think that might turn that into a conversation of, all right, so the other part of code is maintaining the character of neighborhoods, and I think it's just worth a conversation. So we're doing research on what other view-shed towns in Alaska have in regards to their building height to see if there's a conversation that we can revolve around there. I think an important part of this conversation would be for the commission to have a fundamental understanding of just projects that are currently ongoing. I know we brought up the Rural CAP program a couple months ago, and some of you were unfamiliar with that program. And so I've reached out to them. I haven't heard back, but they did a presentation for City Council. So at the very least, we can kind of just show you that presentation or provide an update on what that program is, as well as the DRP program. And I've invited the three main developers to provide an update of their progress, and so the commission is kind of aware of what's in the works there. We've also reached out to several of the large-scale employers in town just to ask for a narrative of housing concerns about how is employee housing affecting their business model or organizational structure, if they have to get into the weeds of helping employees find housing. Do they have vacancies because of the housing concerns? So we reached out to several of the larger scale employers who are going to provide that feedback, and some of them said they might even come and provide that feedback in person, and we've reached out to the chamber too to see if they could pass on that memo to some of the smaller scale businesses or seasonal businesses, because I think that would be good foundational information. We'll bring up when we discussed Title 16, one of my first work sessions, the whole idea of the assessment district and whether or not, I think there was a conversation of, is that something that we still want to keep in code, because the whole idea of assessment district puts the onus on the future buyers to bring utilities down the road, and is that a hindrance to development? So I think that's worth another conversation. And then I think we'll also just lay out everything in the land use table in the packet that relates to housing, lodging, dwellings, to see what we currently allow and don't allow, and see if there's any wiggle room or discussion items for what that is. And so could be an extensive conversation, and I'm viewing this one maybe more as like let's get a lot of information out there, and then if we need more time, we can kind of extend it to another work session down the road, because I think it is an important topic. So if there's other suggestions that you would like us to be prepared or bring to that work session, now's a good time to let us know. Or you can reach out to our office.
I think that covers a lot. I mean, you just covered a lot of stuff in that small, if there's a lot packed in each one of those things.
Yeah.
I think, you may have multiple work sessions in some of these topical areas. You could kill off maybe one or two in one work session and move the other ones to other ones. I mean, if you're really wanting people to learn about stuff.
Okay.
It's like drinking from the fire hose or some of this.
I agree. That sounds good.
So the point of, again, the fire chief being involved in this,
I think he just
Do you
wants to
think
speak
that's
to
really
the current code language and how in Title 15 that talks about the reasons the building height is 34 feet, and how the language revolving around what relates to the fire department is archaic, and he's going to kind of speak to that and how that does not need to be in code, which I think opens up the conversation for this Seward being a viewshed town, and what does that look like. Homer has like 35 feet as their main building height requirement, but they have certain zoning districts that you can have a CUP to go higher, and I'm assuming those are maybe away from the viewshed, and so trying to kind of just open that door if that's something the commission would be interested in looking at.
so,
Go ahead. I'd be interested in a summary of what steps the city has already taken to improve the housing situation. We've done a lot, and so has the commission, done a lot of changes. And I think that would be really valuable for us to reflect on. I think we're leading in many areas where other towns are trying to catch up to where we are. And I'd like to see our accomplishments listed.
Sure. So many of you have been on the commission longer than I've been in my office, and so if you have highlights of your time in the commission that you think would be relevant, pass those on to me. That would save me some time.
Right. And I think we also need to acknowledge this is a nationwide issue, and there are many things like mortgage rate and interest and the cost of supplies that are out of our reach. And so we can only do so much under those constraints.
Sure. And I think we should preface it at the beginning about what is under the purview of the Planning and Zoning Commission, because I think we'll get some attendance. I'm hoping we get some attendance from the public, but also want to be realistic about, hey, we can't solve the whole housing problem, but this is what we can focus on, and at the very least provide some information about what's currently going on.
Any other input for administration?
yeah, to Madam Chair's point, there was a inventory of short-term rentals done. If you could bring that back, and I assume that probably changes annually, maybe an updated version of that. You were on the council, or on the commission during that time too. So get that. John had mentioned there's 82 short-term rentals. I don't know where you got that information, but kind of, and it'd be interesting to know where those are at.
Yeah, there's a company that we use to mine that data, so we can add that to the
And then
information.
also, and maybe it's in that spattering of stuff that you noted, but just where the choke points are to development. And I know in Title 14, is it, that where, we're required to be, or you can't build unless you're hooked up to city water and sewer, and that's not available in some places. And there's some nice areas that could potentially be built upon, and we're not taking advantage of that, and consequently, we're not even taking advantage of the increase of value of those properties that could be had, and therefore contributing to our tax base.
Thank you.
Any other input?
That covers it pretty well.
That'll be hopefully a very well-attended meeting.
Yes,
Sounds
I'm
very
hoping.
interesting. And then the next thing on the agenda is discuss changing the date of the Planning and Zoning Commission's October work session. If you have a packet, that's on page 85. Administration?
Sure, I can speak to this one. City Council will be having a number of work sessions upcoming on the city's budget, and there just happens to be a conflict with the work session that we have scheduled, and so we've been asked to see if we could find an alternative date as to not have two conflicting work sessions that a citizen might potentially have to decide between attending. And so I've got a couple options listed on the last page of the packet. The first option would be to just do a double header on Tuesday, October 8th, and so that would be a work session at 5:30 with the regular meeting occurring at 7. I did write down later in this memo that we kind of were already thinking of asking the commission to do a doubleheader in addition to the regular October work session. The recent doubleheader was when the city administration came and spoke about the fire department site plan, and so they have requested to come to a similar work session with the commission to discuss the police station work site. And so that is one option, and if we do that, only that, then, I mean, we'd be fine, but because of all the topics that we have, are wanting to get to, especially this fall, we would be in favor of doing that doubleheader with an additional work session. Options 2 and 3 would be to just push back the work session by a day, so it would be on Wednesday, October 23rd at 6 p.m., or push it back a whole week until the following Tuesday, October 29th. However, Courtney will be gone for that day, and so I think our preference would be kind of a combination of options 1 and 2. And if that sounds like too much, just keep in mind that November, because of the national election, we've already decided we're only having a doubleheader at the end of the month on the 19th. So there'll only be one meeting date in November.
When was the hazard mitigation plan coming back to us?
So they've got some work to do on their end, but their first option would be to have it at the October 8th meeting.
Well, I will be missing the October 8th meeting, so I'd be in favor of having the work session further down so I can attend it, but, if everybody else can't do that, we'll be okay.
Further down, meeting either October 23rd or the 29th?
Yes, either are fine with me.
Okay.
I'll be gone for those dates.
Both of those dates? It's hard, isn't it? But you will be gone the 8th, Vanessa gone the 23rd and the 29th. Yeah.
Courtney on the 29th, right?
And Courtney gone the 29th.
I'm okay with the 23rd, I think, but depends on fishing.
Anyone else?
I'm available.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good for it.
Okay. Do you have a preference
Our-
for the two first dates?
our preference would be to knock out the police station on the 8th, unless, I know Commissioner Charbonneau would be out for that one, so if that's one you'd want to be present for, we could,
I mean,
that's more,
I like to
it's
be
more,
present for all of them, but if
Yeah.
it's best for everybody to do it on that date, I'll be fine.
okay.
Would also, that information will also be available?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's more informational anyways versus, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
If that works, I'll just catch up.
And so so to do that, and then the 23rd for the longer work session
Yeah.
would be,
So the 8th wouldn't be the long work session, it'd just be
the 8th would be, because we'd be limited in time to a shorter work session before the regular meeting at 7, we would just do the police site visit, or site plan, and then lead into the meeting. Pizza would be provided, obviously. And the 23rd at 6 PM, that Wednesday would be the next work session date.
Okay, so the 8th at 5:30 or 6?
5:30.
5:30. And then the 23rd is what time?
At 6 PM.
Okay. Sounds good?
And Chair Griswold,
Yes.
since everyone's checking their schedules right now, would you like to pick a time for a special meeting for your postponed resolution?
Yes. Any recommendations from the administration?
I know the clerk had brought up a doubleheader for the 17th, however, with how much planning and invitations we've already sent out for that housing work session, I don't know that would be enough. I'd want to keep that one as it
Just for
is.
housing?
For housing, and so I think we could, the commission can agree on a different date.
How much Chair Griswold, how much notification time or do we need to have for the amended, or since it's just postponed, do we have to have a 24 hours? Great. I mean,
Plus the time it will take to.
Well, yeah, they gotta play together.
Or the substitute version.
Right. I really would like to move on that.
I do too. I'm really interested.
What time does administration need? Like, what would you like to put that together?
Yeah, we could get it together by this week, so if you wanted to do it at the end of this week or the beginning of next week.
Like Tuesday the 10th, is Tuesday a good day normally for people?
Not for me, yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Is Wednesday a better day? What's the best day of the week next week?
And Wednesday, what's the date of Wednesday?
11th.
The 11th.
If that's what you have, that's what you have to do, that'll be fine. If you guys, that's what,
I could do any time next week, so whatever
Nice.
works best for you guys.
That's nice. How about your schedules? Would the 11th work for you at, what, 7 PM?
I think we could start a special meeting, well, anytime really, 5:30, 6, 7.
I kind of like 7.
Like 7?
I like 7 as well.
So 7 PM.
7
Wednesday,
PM?
the 11th.
On September 11th,
So that
special
is-
meeting?
And that is 9/11, if that
That is 9/11.
conflicts with anything.
No conflicts. Strong
just
maybe.
looking.
Okay,
It's one topic.
one topic.
Yeah.
Right.
Usually
It's a
work
big
Wednesdays. Only take 4 or 5 hours.
I think I'm available
Okay.
Wednesday, only really next Wednesday or Monday is my only.
Okay. So let's schedule the special meeting for Wednesday, September 11th at 7 PM.
Okay, and there will just be the one item on the agenda, the unfinished business.
Correct. And there will not be a public hearing because this is a continuation. We've already
Correct.
had the public hearing,
So
but you're welcome to come.
you'll be picking up right where your discussion left off.
Right.
But the idea is that there will be a substitute version of the resolution with all the changes that were
Right.
suggested.
Okay.
Chair Griswold, if I'm understanding, we have this, and if everything is included that we have agreed upon, we could probably walk in and vote, essentially, if everything has been considered. So it could potentially be a short meeting.
You could,
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm there was no additional subs.
in a perfect world.
Yeah, or not.
Very short. Okay, so that brings us down to informational items and reports. And we reminder the meeting, work session on September 17th at 7 PM in the City Council chambers. And we should go ahead and just add special meeting September 11th at 7 PM. Isn't that reminder of meetings? Isn't that where we should put that?
And then is the council meeting next Monday?
We're not adding to tonight's
Okay.
agenda at this point.
I was just trying to make it
Those
all in the
are-
same place.
Right, those are just
Okay, so a reminder of meetings
informational items.
on the agenda. Work session on September 17th at 6 PM and a regular meeting on October 8th at 7 PM. There are no other items.
7 PM on October 8th. Okay, I thought it was
It's
5:30.
in the agenda. That brings us to citizens' comments. There is no sign-in for this comment period. Time is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. Yes, please come up to the table and
That's the
state
only
your
one?
name. Yep. State your name in and out. You have 5 minutes.
Tom Weisel. And, yeah, I just wanted to comment on a few things. I didn't know if, my email that I had given got out to all you guys regarding the snow and ice. So, we have plans to, hopefully work with Public Works and do similar building type, like my wife's family's relatives own Petromarine and have heated sidewalks, so that would take care of that. I'm a plumber. I think it's a great thing. I think if we could get that done, that'd eliminate any sort of easement approach. And putting it further, my wife's family has been here for multiple generations. I have 2 young kids in this town. Our business model is open year-round. We want to have an open mind with Seward on promoting year-round business here, not just a tourism attraction for a very short season. We work really hard with the community. We're invested here. We have young kids. We're a generational family business, and we're not looking to sell out. We're actually looking to fight back and have more of a community-based business here instead of like a tourism town on the cruise ship flight waypoints, you know, where they just own everything. It's just a little Disneyland town. That's our goal. That's our viewpoint in business in Seward. When I speak about the event spaces, we're not looking to be a hinder for the town downtown. We're looking to have locals have a place to meet, so they don't have to approach these companies that aren't from here. They don't have the investment in this town except for May to September, and then they're gone. It doesn't matter. Again, I think it's who we're trying to promote and have an open mind on the ideas of business that we're trying to get involved in this town for a very long period of time, generations. That's what we're invested in. That's what we're trying to do. We own multiple properties, and we have big visions, not just for the short, small, low season, then go somewhere else. That's one of our business plans. But even on like the beautification, the green plants, if you come to our place, we spend thousands of dollars. Nobody tells us that we have to do it. We just like to support local businesses. That's why we go to the nurseries. We don't go to Home Depot. I don't care if the plants are cheaper. We promote and support local Alaskan businesses. We buy art from local artists here in Seward and put it in our hotels. We don't buy offline. That is a very big, strong focal point for us, and we do a lot of things in the wintertime for our kids. We do free events. We've done July 4th for the town here for as long as that I've been able to get involved, and it's completely free. Everything that we put up. So I don't think we need so much regulation, and I think there could be a little bit more trust. I also would like a little bit more of an open mind to our business plan. Yes, we are 100% property occupied. We're not the only ones down here that are already doing this. We don't have to point out the examples, but we know there's one in my same block, 2 blocks over, another one. There's other places that have event spaces. Hotel Seward has an event space, a room, an event room. Public doesn't, it doesn't engage, it doesn't. So that is our plan. Just want to put that out there. Those few things, our plan for snow and ice. We work well with our neighbors. The church, we've worked well with them when they need to take down playgrounds. We have great communication with all of our neighbors. I don't see any issue there. As far as our concept, and I saw a lengthy discussion, and I was hoping that what Ullman said maybe could be approved, that maybe I could join that meeting, even though I don't know if I could or couldn't, but I think I could bring some great insight if we could make a change that I could attend. So, work with you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else in the audience wish to speak at this time? Okay. Administration comments?
I just wanted to clarify that the meeting next Wednesday is a public meeting and you can attend that meeting.
Could you also clarify the quasi-judicial nature of this? We are still bound until this is all through to the appeal process ending. We are bound by quasi-judicial rules, correct?
Correct, that would be my understanding then.
No ex parte communication is allowed. We wouldn't be allowed to talk to you separately. It all has to be to everybody, everything. Okay, just a reminder. Okay, any other administration comments?
No, thank you for a long session.
Yeah. Commissioners, should we just start and go down? Okay.
Hey, great work, great meeting, and I really appreciate all that everybody has done between the amount of work that you put together to put this together, and the applicant himself did a lot of work. I'm, impressed with what you've put together there. It's a pretty ambitious project, and I'm really pleased how the clerk has put up with all of us and all the changes we've done. Thank you.
Commissioner Ullman?
So a public meeting would run exactly like tonight, right, with the same format?
Right, so the only difference is specified by the clerk is that the public hearing has already occurred.
Oh, okay.
So the public would not have that opportunity to speak, but the meeting would have the same structure as in the public comment at the beginning, just general public comments,
Okay.
comments at the end, and the public here to watch the proceedings.
Okay.
Will there be able to be back and forth, though, with the applicant?
That would be up to the commission whether they would request.
Suspension of rules.
Okay, great.
Commissioner Charbonneau?
Always want to thank administration. It's a lot of work from your side and the public for coming out. Always love it when there's a lot of people take interest. Thank you very much for that.
Commissioner Verhey?
Sure, I'll echo that. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Hubbard?
Yes, I want to thank John for your submission and your project. It's very intriguing, and I know it'll be a good improvement down there, and I hope that we could make something work. Yeah, thanks to staff for putting your best foot forward too with him, and that we can hopefully get something accomplished here. I'm hearing that there's a bunch of restaurants that are going to be closing within a week of each other, and I'm like, really? Are we just going to shut our doors? Are we just shutting down as a town? And I don't think that's really what we want as a community. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I know the restaurant folks are tired and employees are getting dispersed, but I would hope there's enough business around that would keep at least half of them open. So anyway, thanks for a good meeting, and I'll end there. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for your patience with this very long meeting and whopper 3 public hearings. It's a lot of information to digest, and I'm glad we're going to bring it back for a special meeting so we have time to think about it more. Thank you to the clerk very much. Appreciate keeping me on track, and the administration for the same and all your input. And with that, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned at 9:45.